What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Smoke and Mirrors Podcast. I'm Nick, and this is
Zach.
We got some good news for you guys. Just go ahead and start this off. So we have better mics all around now. So hopefully the audio will go up. We got some stuff for the plosives, so hopefully that'll help out your ears. So like we said, we have a bigger interface, so we can now get up to 8 mics. So when we have guests, we won't be having to hand the mic to each other. Everything is for you guys and making the experience better for you. Because we want you guys to subscribe. We want you guys to like us. We want you guys to follow us.
Yeah, subscribe, like, share, send it to everybody you know. I mean, we're just getting this thing off of the ground, but honestly, we need the support. We need it to kind of spread a little bit, and we know some of our topics might be a little bit hard, I guess, sometimes, but I mean, promise you that we're not really coming at it in that angle. I mean, I think if you listen, you'll find that out about the way we do things and talk about things. So I'm excited. Let's get this thing going, man. So what do you want to talk about today?
So we're going to talk about China having police departments in the United States. So
I don't understand that. I don't understand what that means.
I know. I hear you. I was shocked when
what-
I saw it too, and I had to look up articles. So that's why I went ahead and got me an article ready here. So this article is coming from NBC New York and also CBS News in New York. Okay. That's where the information for this article came from.
All right.
So the FBI has shut down a secret illegal Chinese police station in Lower Manhattan, New York City. The operation had been taking place in relatively open Lower Manhattan location. This station is one of at least 100 similar stations that the Chinese Communist Party has around the world in other countries. The purpose of these police stations is to monitor Chinese citizens abroad, even if they are also citizens of the host country. The 2 people arrested by the FBI in New York City for operating the police station are U.S. citizens, but clearly of Chinese origin. Rumors had been swirling for quite a while about the New York City location without much action being taken. These illegal operations present an obvious cause for concern and attempt by the Chinese government to set up points of authority in other countries around the world, even if to monitor their own people creates a national security risk.
Yeah, wait a minute, man. I mean, what the fuck are you
Yeah.
talking about? So what they're trying to say is there are government-sponsored police stations to police Chinese citizens in their area?
Yes, but also for Chinese that are now American citizens.
Well, yeah, Chinese in their area. But what I'm saying is that they're saying this is a government, like a Chinese government function.
Yeah, and it wasn't allowed. They wasn't supposed
Well,
to
of
be
course
there.
not. How the hell are you gonna? We can't allow
That's
that.
why the FBI busted. Okay, so I read further on this, and from what I understand, I think there was like 32 arrests that were in coordination with this. The FBI was the ones that did it. I will say that I ain't really been too keen on the FBI with things lately, but, this is actually something where I'm like, give them a round of applause because, we can't really have this, I feel like, in our country. Like, what the fuck?
No, I don't understand. I don't understand in the first place how does that operate? I don't understand what that operation looks like. Like, what do you mean the Chinese government investigates crimes that Chinese people, or it's a crime of political
I think,
views?
from what I understand from what that article
So
said.
if they disagree with Chinese government, is what they're policing their views
Now,
in America?
I will say that there was a news...
Is this like a church? What is it?
There was a news anchor, too, that said a little bit more stuff than that was included in this, but we ain't got to the point of having video yet. We're working on that, y'all. But they said that they'd been warned about this place, that these people are out doing things that are unconstitutional in our country, but ignoring our country's constitution.
Yeah, but
and
like
stuff
what?
like that.
Snatching up Chinese people and taking them back to China?
That's
or
what
some
it
shit?
sounds like. They haven't flat out said that because, nowadays, got to be careful.
Yeah,
Unless
but I
you
mean,
got
if that's what
proof
it
to
is,
show
we
it.
got to talk about that. Like, that's something that's a big deal. Because
Here's
how
the
do
thing.
How do you police people who are not, like, under your authority?
If
Like,
anyone knew anything, it's going to be people like the FBI, the ones that made the arrest. And the thing is, I don't think that they've released really much information on this.
now, I could see that.
Because this conversation right here where people are
all
going to be
right, but
freaked
check
out.
this out. I could see I could see a situation where in Chinatown, right? You live in Chinatown, New York, right? It's a whole town full of Chinese people.
Yeah.
Right? Now, yes, New York City polices that area, right?
Yeah.
But maybe the people feel like the cops are like biased. They don't pay any attention to them and their problems, and they don't care whether or not they get robbed by A, B, or C. So they neighborhood watch police, so to speak, of their area.
Yes, I've heard of
because of they're all living together in a certain kind of sense, right? So it's like they take that policing into their own hands because maybe in their country that's how you do a village, that's how you live, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so if that's happening, fine. I can understand that. Like, I could see how that may get out of hand where some people feel like, oh, shit, I'm the most powerful Chinaman in the town and I'm going to, like, lock people up because they disagree with me. Right? But I don't know how that translates to, like, this is a Chinese government event happening in America, because you mean to tell me, this is what you're saying to me, that the CIA is completely incompetent at running down Chinese spies, that they have allowed the whole departments of Chinese spies to police Chinese people in America who are now all spies. And because that's the rhetoric that I'm hearing, it's like when I heard that the reading, way it was read to me that from that article you were saying,
yeah,
I really felt inside like this is unbelievable. Like, listen, y'all, if you can hear this podcast, take me for real, dude. Do not take up arms or treat fucking people of Asian descent any differently than you would normally treat another human fucking being over some shit like this.
Right.
We don't know about this.
We don't know all the details.
This is so big in a sense, right? Because
they didn't really say much.
It says a lot about our defense and our ability to control our own country internally. Right, that we're not paying any attention to this. This is going on in multiple places, and this is supposed to be like oh, look at this great thing we did. And it's like, well, how did this happen? Why did you allow a whole network of these illegal policing American citizens to continue to go on until you had enough evidence to end this stuff? Because I don't understand how that's possible without our knowledge.
If even a police officer comes across somebody that can be held accountable for impersonating a police officer, dude, look how fast they do. There's not even hesitation. How is it that you have information on this and you have to build up some kind of case? Like, well, I guess it is big because it's kind of an international thing, but still.
Well, I'm not saying not build the case. I'm saying how in the fuck could the first one of these go unnoticed, right, by our intelligence agencies, our FBI? Nobody thinks that, oh, well, hey, you know what? This doesn't seem right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think there's more to that story, and I think that story has a lot more fluff in it than it probably should, right? And that's the kind of shit that I like to try to take apart on this show.
Let me go.
Like, that to me, there's some propaganda in there, dude, and it's made to make people like, listen, dude, I don't want, like, you want people to go out in the street and like start killing Asians and blowing shit up because, oh my God, they do and it's like, no, dude, that's not what's
Americans
happening.
Ain't dumb enough to just
you
put
think
that
not,
on
but that's
them.
happened it's already happened.
Yeah, you're right, but they don't.
Like the Chinese virus caused people to have problems with the Chinese already. And it's like, what are you trying to say, dude? We're trying to go to war with China. Nobody wants to go to war with China. Why would we want to do that?
Okay, here we go. So this is from the BBC in Washington, April 17, 2023. This is their article. Now, I cannot pronounce these names, but one of them was 61 and one of them was 59. The second name that's 59, his name's Chen Jinping, but the first one's kind of, I ain't going to try to whatever. Both New York, both are New York City residents, face charges of conspiring to act as agents for China and to obstruct of justice. They are expected to appear in federal court in Brooklyn on Monday. China has previously denied operating stations, calling them service centers centers for nationals overseas.
Okay, so yeah, if it's under now that makes a little more sense. Like, they're calling it a policing thing. Right, yeah. But it's like, okay, maybe it's like, okay, well, we'll supply you money and other things for certain other things.
Right.
right? Like, we need you to design something when you go give us the design for it or whatever the fuck they want to trade out or how they're doing that system to give them help and support in America. We'll
Right.
get you a place to stay. We'll
Just like
get you into
I
school.
think that's kind of like us having embassy in other countries. Is that right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, they have an embassy too. That's not.
yeah.
This is outside of that.
So
this
this
is
is
like
outside
a
of it,
social.
okay.
This is like a social program, right? Which we do everywhere. We do the same thing. Like we're gonna help you get situated in this foreign country. We're gonna trade, a student to this country, and you give us one of your students, right? We're gonna
Right.
do foreign exchange students and shit like that. So we do this kind of stuff anyway. So it's like, how do you get the people who are gonna become American citizens or want to study here, right? How do you transition them from a communist view to American view and send them back to China after their schooling, right? To a communist rule again, right? So it's a difficult transition. And if they're trying to you're not an actual U.S. citizen or you have dual citizenship or you have a green card that you're visiting, right?
Right.
How
Well,
how do
let's
they
see.
control that? How do you control that? That's what I'm saying. How do you control it? How does
You're right.
a king keep you from overthrowing him when you come back to his country without some type of oversight, some type of control? So if that being your housing, that being all this other shit, and then keeping an eye on you so you don't do stupid shit. And maybe the biggest problem they've run into is that they've tried to cover up some real crimes that these kids did and punish them themselves.
Yeah. So it goes further. It says the People's Republic of China actions go far beyond the bounds of acceptance, national state conduct. We will resolutely defend the freedoms of all those living in our country from the threat of authoritarian repression, said Assistant Attorney General Matthew Owens from Justice Department National Security Division. Right. According to prosecutor, Mr. Liu was closely connected to Chinese law enforcement and was enlisted to help China with repressive activities in the U.S. beginning in 2015, including harassing Chinese descendants. And it goes on to 2018.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I really, truly, so I can understand it being, China's saying, here, we're funding this corporation that's going to come over there and support immigrants from China to make a transition into America and or to go to school and study and come back to China. Now, if you're going back to China after getting all the knowledge from over here, and that's what they've been doing for years, right? Get the knowledge, come to the good schools, and then go back to China and utilize it. Which isn't wrong. I mean, it's smart.
Right. The New York Times, real quick, says that they were charged with conspiracy. They charged the man with conspiring with Chinese government, and to destroy evidence and destroying evidence.
Right. So
like you were saying, it could have just been ones where they did some shit and they just tried to handle it themselves.
So that's what I'm saying. Here. Like I don't know. Like we don't know the depths of this shit. But the first article you read is made to incite people. Like it was when you read it, it was like, oh, I want to go and I want to go blow somebody up for this shit. This is unacceptable in my country. You have another police into my country. So I'm picturing like literally like some Chinese soldiers in a shopping plaza with like a back room where they got people locked up that are Chinese and shit. And that I know in my head I saw that and I was like, that's a joke. Like that's comical. That's not happening in America. It's not. There's no way it's happening in America.
Well, people are being charged for some shit.
Now,
Who knows?
They may be wearing blue jeans and a T-shirt and still doing the same shit. I don't know. It could be in the back of a noodle shop. I don't know. Right? I also know that...
Oh, no. The building was very, just...
Official?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
It wasn't even official.
No.
It wasn't official, but it was like a legit nice fucking place that was in the middle of the fucking area. Like,
but see, there's the other side too.
It wasn't hidden or anything like that.
But also equally when like the Irish and the other immigrants to this country came here, they kind of all ganged up in the same type of areas, right?
Right.
So it's the same type of your culture is there.
Yeah.
So I can understand that you're looking out for your culture. So with what
if
happened,
that's what they're doing,
but
because
with
we are
what
talking about
happened
the
in World War
Communist Party
II,
of China, man. Like, come on,
but check it.
like I
Yeah,
don't
but
really
they're-
put much past them, bro.
Okay, but listen to what I said though. But you have to think, dude. Look, we think our shit is right. They think theirs is right.
And I get that,
Right, so it's like, okay, they believe their beliefs are theirs, and they should have their beliefs.
And
it's
see, I
very
totally
hard
agree
to
with that.
indoctrinate somebody who's been quote unquote given their freedom of mind and choice to then be a communist again. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. So my buddy Brian that pretty much taught me. Well, no, he taught me from being a greenhorn and got me to being a plumber where I'm at today. But he said to me, because I used to be freaked out about Muslims and stuff like that. And now today, because of that man, I'm not. Like it was all just, propaganda, like you said, and everything, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's propaganda. It's made to make us afraid, and that's scary as shit, because some people are going to read that and take it for what it is.
He explained to me in this way that it's this, you imagine growing up in a different country and your parents are Muslim or your parents are Chinese. It doesn't matter what nationality you are, but it's in a different society, a different way of thinking, a different way of doing things. And that's what your whole entire life from a child. It's just like everyone being lied to about bullshit fucking cuss words, saying, oh, you're not a Christian if you say cuss words. Like, give me a break. It says nowhere in the Bible that you cannot use these words.
No, those are fear tactics.
Yeah, it's just fear tactics.
To stop doing it,
but see, if you're taught something since you were a child, you are going to think in that way generally throughout your life.
Well, you make an agreement. You make agreements with yourself and with society. Like, the sky is blue because everybody says so. Well, we all know the sky is blue most of the time, but 99% of the time, if you really looked at the sky for too long, it's got a bunch of colors, gray and purple and yellow. All these different things are in it. So, but we all collectively made an agreement. Same thing, right?
Right.
You make an agreement that God's going to strike you down if you say fuck too many times.
Right.
And it's like, come on, dude. Really? You think God gives a flying fuck about what the words are that are coming out of your mouth?
He wants to know if you're saying it in a disrespectful or a rude manner versus, because the thing is that someone can be completely rude to you and totally put you down and not say a so-called bad word. But they can totally hype you up and be saying nothing but good things about you, but be saying every swear word in the planet. But the way that they're saying it and the way that they're using it is not necessarily disrespectful. Now, some people's minds have been trained that it's like you hear these words and you automatically get triggered. And that's what it is. It's a trigger in your head that's triggering you to be like, oh, shoot, I've been taught that that's not good. Like, that's so powerful. Like, you can use a different word. And it's like, but I don't want to. This is how I feel. This is the word I choose at this moment to say and use. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm in the moment of whatever it is I'm saying.
Well, I mean, okay, look, for me, it's like it goes beyond that, right? It's like, okay, if you make the agreement that that's bad, then you live your life that way, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You have every right.
But you can't tell me how to talk because it's freedom of speech.
But wait, you have every right. Now, people are all too often going around trying to have a reason to be upset about something, right? And it's not always necessary to be upset about shit. You just want something. Look, I'm offended by this. This is offensive. This is upsetting to me. This is against my beliefs. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, but you don't have to believe it. You don't have to do that. Like, we don't have to agree.
Yeah.
And it's okay not to agree. Matter of fact, it's healthy. It's
to
super
disagree.
healthy for us to agree on some things, but disagree and find our commonality.
So
the problem in our politics is we don't do that anymore, right? So what I'm trying to get to is this, though, because we were talking about a specific thing, and this is about the way things are perceived and agreed upon, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. I don't want there to be a mass shooting tomorrow because this article comes out and some kid decides he's freaked the fuck out and that all Chinese people are now bad and they're all over here to overthrow our stuff and da. And it's like, and then what? Right? And then you have another reason for another discussion about America and how our society is and how guns are a problem instead of what the solution really needs to be.
Yep. And in today's world, everybody jumps to the extremes of everything instead of thinking out things a little bit. And that's what's happening. And it's like, but real quick to finish that up with what he was pointing out is that, that's what they were raised like. So that's what they think like today. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain aspects of things that aren't right. And you as an adult have to take accountability for that once you become an adult. You can't just go based off of it. Because I'm sorry, dude. My parents raised me not to look at color or race or anything like that. And I don't because of the way I was raised. But the thing is, even if my parents were like evil, which is what I call it when you're a
Right.
racist. Even if they were that, like the fact is that when I turn 18, I'll become an adult. I'm considered an adult. It is now time for me to think on my own. It is now time for me to register that shit ain't right.
Well,
You know?
surely. I mean, look. Everybody that comes into our lives that is a part of our life. The true thing about it is, they're all teaching us something, and we're teaching each other stuff, right? So everybody, including your parents can sometimes teach you what not to do. There are some times where you feel like, God dang, man, my parents are real pain in the ass on A, B, and C, and blah,
Yep.
blah, blah. And then when you have your children, you can decide not to do that anymore. Right. So
Right.
but you do at some point have to wake up and understand that you are your own parent, and you have to handle your own life. So you should question those agreements.
Yes.
Why do you believe what you believe? Why do you do these
You've
things?
got to be able to explain it.
Not
And if
because-
you can't explain it, or
Well,
if you're just
isn't
gonna,
it going to find you're going to find a peace of mind inside yourself when you do that, because you're going to understand why you think the way you think about things.
Yeah.
Which is way clearer and easier for everyone else for you to say to them, "Oh, this is what I feel and think." And really, whatever they say back to you is about them. It's not about you. And we all too often get tied up in people giving us these words. Like we were talking about a minute ago, like cuss words are bad, right?
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that words do make a difference. The way things are presented, the way words
The
are
way you
used
say
is
it.
a weapon.
yes,
Right? It can
that
be
is
used
correct.
against us in various ways, and the media is extremely good at these things, where they word stuff in a way that doesn't plainly say, go out and riot in the streets, but it says, like, be afraid of everything.
Right.
Because the more fear you have, the more you're going to pay attention to the news. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
people do that.
But what I'm saying is like, okay, so the real news is like social media, podcasts, people talking about the real shit, and really actually telling the truth about what these things are. Because, you know, we look at an article, and a lot of people do this, and I'm telling you this from a fact. I have family that does this. They look at one thing, and that one thing dictates every decision and every belief they have in politics and everything else, man. Like, I know people who couldn't stand Trump that became fucking Trump supporters like you wouldn't believe after he got the nomination for the Republicans, just because of the rhetoric that they are used to.
Yeah.
Not because their belief changed. They still thought a bunch of shit. And then they still, in their own belief system, justified it by the means that they were given off of television. And it's funny to me to watch, because I watch all of this stuff. I look at it all because I know there's some truth in the gray of all of this. And then how do I decipher that from what is the bullshit they're trying to push on us? Because they are pushing, their job is to give us what they want us to think and do.
And it doesn't matter which side. For instance,
Yes,
today,
100%.
today they were going forward with the vote for the brace thing. Like, okay, here's the thing. It ain't going to go through all the way. It has to be signed off by Biden, and he's the one that wanted it implemented to begin with. Okay?
Right.
Why is it that every time a party wants something done, they push for it when they know they can't get it through? And then when they can get it through, you never hear a word about
Well,
it.
the question is, why do they? Okay, but that's the thing, right? So that's the whole crux of it is why, when we put people into government, the government stops working. When we do the bipartisan thing, when we decide, because most of the time, in most terms, midterm elections go around, and we say whoever's in the White House, you're going to lose something either in the Senate or the House, period, because we need some opposition in there. We want power on both sides to balance this thing out so that you guys don't get out of hand on either side, because your far right and your far left are fucking destroying the whole concept of the parties. To
Right.
me personally, and these are all opinions, so don't get too excited. I'm saying that the far sides of both of these two parties are not the real truth of where the parties should be.
Yeah, because most of America is in the middle.
But America needs that. We need our politicians.
The thing
to
is that
do
our
the things
media-
they're supposed to do right now.
Our mainstream media pushes an agenda that isn't what the majority wants, but yet it ends up being all you see. So you get confused and you're thinking that this is what everybody wants, or what becomes the majority of what everyone's wanting, like transgender stuff on the Bud Lights and stuff like
Why
that.
are we
blah,
worried
blah,
about
blah.
that when we have
And
a
the
lot
thing
bigger
is
issues,
that,
all I'm
dude,
saying, you know?
like, why is even the corporations worried about it? I guess it's because they know people are easily manipulated. I guess
marketing.
That's
I mean, really seriously, marketing. We are being told what we want and given what we are told we want, not what we need. This is the thing. We live in America, right? And like I said before, and I think we've even had a podcast where this was brought up. Like there are countries where what we have, we live like kings. The president of Uruguay doesn't even have half of the shit that I have in my house, right? And he has to go to market once a week, and he has to bring his water in. He doesn't even have clean water. He's the fucking president of a whole country. Like to me, it's like we overlook the fact that we have so much shit, dude. We take shit. My dad works at a place where we take shit and just drop it off. It's good, still good
Right.
shit.
Brand
we just don't
new.
want it. We just don't want it. We don't need this shit anymore. Take this shit. We never even opened the box. We just don't want it. We bought it. We liked it. We had some money to spend. And why? Why? Because we were
Because
told.
we're wasteful.
No, we were told somewhere subliminally on our telephones, on our social media, on our whatever
That we need
that
this
we
now.
want this and we need this. And then we disagreed with it. We were like, we don't fucking need it. We're not gonna get that. I don't need that stuff. That stuff is ridiculous. People who buy that stuff are stupid. Fast forward 2 years, you get a real good deal. You get it. You're like, oh man, I love this shit. And then now you're all about it. Right? No
Right.
difference. To me, there's no difference. It doesn't matter when they get you. They get us subliminally thinking of the stuff we need. I mean, if you think about it, we could all be minimalist. And when I say minimalist, like live with very little. If you packed everything up in a box and just took out the stuff you needed in 2 years, you wouldn't have that much shit out. You wouldn't have extra lamps and extra tables and extra shit laying around your house because you wouldn't fucking need it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But we live with this stuff. We get it, and then we're attached to it. We're like, we can't get rid of the 4 tables we got. We need 1, but we got 4, but we're going to have to keep them. We're going to pay somewhere to put this shit. We're going to stack our shit. We're going to get so much shit, buy so many toys. That's what we're here to do. Stack the toys and go. Now, am I saying, oh, rich people are bad? No, I'm saying fucking they're stacking more toys. The better toys, the better. I give more power to that, right? I'm a true believer in that. Have some fun. Right? Have some fun.
Yep.
Putting some money and doing some shit. They do a lot for a lot of people. I'm sorry. Big business helps a lot of people. Right? They do. They employ tons. I get it. Right? I don't know that the marketing needs to continue the way it is, but the worst part of the marketing is you can't regulate the internet, right? Trying to shut people's opinions down on subjects that range from everything,
which we're having a huge problem with.
right? So you're going to shut down everything. You're going to cancel culture, right? Just to make sure that the mainstream media, the MSNBC, the Fox News, the CSNBC, all of the mainstream news stations that are out there get to actually tell us what is going on and what to worry about and what to think about. And to me, you know, you talk, oh, well, Putin's over there and they're telling them it's not even a war happening in Ukraine and the people are crazy. Like, how can they not know this stuff and da-da-da? And it's like, well, what would you know?
Right.
If we went after Mexico, we could be fighting Mexico for 5 years until some people put on Facebook in Arizona and Texas and some other shit of bombs blowing up in Mexico that they can see from their backyards.
Right.
Well, we're not going to know shit. And then they're going to say, oh, yeah, by the way, Mexico is now part of the U.S., right? Or they're going to tell us whatever they want.
Yeah.
And we're going to go along with it. Because if they tell us, hey, there's nuclear bombs in Iraq, we're going over to Iraq with all the equipment we've ever could find. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's like, and then we do this rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. But we're trying to look at China and Russia as being like, oh, they use the propaganda machine to fuck their people up. Really? And we don't. You want to silence the social media difference in opinions because rightfully so, there has been some crazy shit said. However, the internet, part of the free source of the internet is you need to be smart enough to filter out some stupid shit.
Yes.
And if you see enough stupid shit, it's easier to see it. It's easier to see it when you watch it in the mainstream now because you can go, oh man, look, I can see how that's an inciting sentence. Inside of me, it's inciting.
Yeah.
But I read another article that didn't incite me in that same way, gave me a little more idea on what it is or how it's going on. And that's really why we started this podcast, was because me and Nick share views and we disagree about stuff. But we always come to this place where we're like in the middle of both of these things they call the Republican Democratic Party. Like,
yeah.
We're not on either side, but we're on both sides. And it's like, you know, if everybody in America is really sitting there on the fence, or a population of 20% of voting Americans, right, then there should be some real ability to change those problems.
And have conversations.
The thing is we're talking about the wrong shit, dude.
Yeah.
We are in a financial crisis for
Well,
the
today
last
we
2
are, man.
decades, dude.
Bro. Today we have been talking about the wrong shit
Yeah.
because there's actually some shit that's been going on up in our Senate, and I didn't even realize it until you brought it up to me before the podcast. So what are they talking about in the Senate?
All right, well, today's fucking April 20th, right? So
Yeah.
it's 420, which is like National Pothead Day. Fucking all over, everybody knows this is like the thing, and it's a proposition that was brought before the Senate for 420 specifically is the proposition number. That's where it comes from. So, anyway, so today in the Senate they're bringing up some legislation specifically regarding legalization of marijuana. Now they know they can't federally legalize marijuana; it's on a Schedule 1 list. So part of the legislation is how they let federal, because here's the problem, what's happening. You have legal marijuana medically, you have legal marijuana recreationally.
But it's not really legal.
Well, it's legal in the state.
Yeah, in the state, but that's still not
legal. The federal
legal.
government decided they weren't going to enforce any of the federal laws in states for that specific thing. Right?
And it's bullshit.
So they basically just kind of
said we're going to break our own law.
And they said, well, let's see what the states want to do, right?
They said we're going to allow you to break federal law, which if any one of us do that, we're fucked.
Right.
It's bullshit.
Which is, okay, well, wait a minute. Which is the complication, right? Like, okay, I'll give you this. Your Walmart, your Chase Bank, right? Chase Bank does banking all over the United States.
Yeah.
So they can oversee the laws that they have in all these other states and federally that say you can't take drug money and then take your drug money from a legal business in your state, so they can't take your money. You can't do business the same way every other business gets to do business. That's
Right.
not fair to the business.
Yeah.
Right? So that's taking their advantage away. They don't have a bank to deal with. So what they're trying to look at is how do we make that legislation legal, right?
Right.
How do we, if we did legalize marijuana, how do we expunge so many people's marijuana? Like, where is the line on what the expungement allowance would be?
Yeah. Because you're gonna have to, because it'd be messed up to keep.
Well, they're gonna kick people out of jail, and they're gonna dump it. But there is a line to what they feel is the right way to allow for it, right?
And by the way,
So
to
if you got
anyone,
caught with a
real quick,
$1,000.
let me say this. By the way, to anyone that's gonna sit here and say, "Didn't Biden just do that?" That was in federal. That's not state.
Right. Right.
And that was, and federal charges are a hell of a lot bigger than state charges on marijuana.
This is how to maneuver to change the federal law eventually, right?
Yeah.
Because okay, so the other side, there's 3 coins to this. One was how do we get banking allowed for these type of businesses?
Because that's been an
exception
issue
of some type that they can create that'll allow for that. The other side is that 38 states have legal medical marijuana. 38 of the 50 have medical marijuana legal already. Okay, and on the schedule listing, the very thing that makes marijuana Schedule 1 is there's no medicinal use. That's part of what gets it onto that part of the chart.
Okay.
So they're also going to look at how do we justify allowing 38 states in the union to have a legal agreement for medical purposes and not recognize it as a medical need.
Exactly. At least lower it on the scale.
So that may force it into the FDA's hands to approve it as a medicine. I don't know, right?
Which we
so
see
it's
how
going
good they are with medicine.
But they'll be more apt to approve it because there are legitimate reasons to use it for medical purposes.
And they can make money off it now.
Any medical purpose that it has solves that answer, and they can take it off of that. So they also would need the Surgeon General involvement after they could come up with a way for that. So we don't know where it's going to go. I guarantee you this, that at the end of today, they're not going to fucking legalize marijuana federally. That's not happening.
That's not
what
happening.
They're trying to do is maneuver the positioning to make that something that the transition would be more
They're figuring
feasible.
out the argument is what they're doing.
Well, they're trying to get
right.
There's more layers to doing this than just one day saying everything is cool. Every state now federally it's legal, because if it's federally legal, it still doesn't make it legal in the state.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So if your state didn't pass recreational weed and shit, you don't get to go smoke a blunt in the fucking street in front of a cop just because the Fed said it was okay. You're going to go to jail.
Right.
Right? Because we have this system that's 2-tier. We live under our state's law. Right? And then our state reports to the feds for their distribution of the wealth that comes from the people.
Okay.
You pay federal and state tax. The
Yep.
feds give their tax dollars back to states for specific things, right?
Yeah.
And they have to fit requirements for those monies to come.
Yeah.
But our government is the same constitution in our federal government to our state government. It's the same exact setup. In the state government, you have a house, you have a senate, you have a fucking a governor of the state, which is acting president of that state, right?
Yep.
And those people are there to try to protect your rights in your state. That's why the whole thing about abortion wasn't the Supreme Court saying abortion is legal. They said it's a state decision. Send it to the state to decide. Now, there's a big difference from that and saying abortion is illegal. They didn't make it illegal and they didn't make it legal. They just said it's not a federal decision. It should be a state decision, not a federal one.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's hard to argue that. So now if you really want your state to legalize it or to make some provision that allows for it to be something that can be done for the right purposes, then go out and elect the people running for those things.
Yes.
Right? Get the people in office that tell you the story they're going to try to get you those things. Now, if they don't do it, then kick them out and put somebody else in.
Until you get one
even
that
if
does.
it's the opposition. Because the truth of the matter is something has to be done one way or another. And you
Yeah.
have to make those decisions. And we don't get a choice. We get two people, dude. And sometimes, man, we've had our ballots here, dude. There's one person. Like they don't even get you have to choose them.
Right.
But there's running against the air. And I'm like, well, I could do that. Like I could win office if all you have to run against is air.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody wants this job. What kind of job is this that nobody's doing it? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But you know, in the long term of things, dude, I'm really just trying to say that when people read these articles and they really like dig in, please, I implore you, do some more research than just on the surface because it's scary as shit when they show you stuff like this. But also remember what Nick said: don't make an agreement immediately, and then all you look for is that part because that's what you'll see. You'll see it in every article. Then doom and gloom, and they want us to feel that way. And truthfully, don't. Be happy. Life is about fucking having some fun. It's okay to have fun.
Have a coffee and a joint.
Yeah.
Shit. All right, guys. Well, shit. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope that the audio is better. And, guys, we're going to make it better and better as time goes. Please hit that subscribe button. Please share us out. We're trying to grow, and I promise everything is going to get better over time.
Yeah, we got some merch we're trying to come out with too. So if you like our logo and you like our some of our stuff, even if you hit us up in the comments, we can drop it to you. But we're about to put that out, so just keep your eyes.
Well,
open
Hey
for
May
the
Ray,
merch.
you can get our logo. At Hey May Ray right now on a shirt, but that's good. We're working on all that and getting all that taken care of. But they do have one
Yeah,
shirt.
if you're
that able to
interested,
get.
throw it out. We'll put you in on the first orders and stuff and give you a shout out. Whatever.
Yep.
So,
And the other thing is that the music has been done by Jeff Tech. Jeff, appreciate it very much, man. You've been doing a great job.
Jeff,
we appreciate it. And other than that, I hope everyone's enjoyed it. And until next time.
Peace.